Yo, what up? This is D Knight, and you're listening to the Pardon the Interaction podcast. My oh my, we've had so much going on. For starters, in case you missed it, we've got a new addition to the Pardon Pie family, Tara Dublin. Make sure you go follow her on Twitter at Tara Dublin Rocks. Also, pick up a copy of her book while you're at it. Make her day, The Sound of Settling. A very fun and interesting read compared to the things we talk about on this podcast. But yeah, we're heading toward the do or die time for the 2024 election. Go ahead and hit up joebiden.com. Get that man like $1 a month or something. Help his campaign staff up and get prepared to try and save our democracy. And make sure to grab like one other person you know and tell them about the podcast. Make sure they subscribe and tune in every single week. We got a lot of things coming up for you this year. We need all the support that we can get. So if you do your part and help us grow our audience, we'll do our part and help elect Joe Biden in 2024 and save American democracy. And this is the Pardon the Interaction podcast.
One, two, three, four.
Hey, this is D Knight.
This is Carol.
This is Ty.
This is Tara.
And you're listening to the Pardon the Interaction podcast. If you haven't noticed there.
Wait, there was a fourth person.
Yeah, we have a new addition to the Pardon Pod family here. Tara Dublin, formerly of Occupy Democrats and also professional broadcast or radio broadcast personality.
Occupy Democrats?
What? Who?
Not familiar.
Who?
Yeah, never heard of them. Anyway,
Never heard.
Given that it's election year, we're bringing in a ringer to help us like rig the fucking election and steal it from Trump, as he, likes to allude to.
I heard Tara's good with ghost buses. So we need to drop off those.
Who are you going to call? Ghost buses.
But before we get to that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Sheets and Giggles. As you're likely well aware, the only sponsor this podcast has ever had is this fucking pillow company. And I got to tell you, it's amazing. It's like,
no, not that pillow company.
No, it's the opposite of that one.
Oh, no, not that.
The one that you're thinking about is like the total opposite of that.
You mean the one that can't advertise on Fox anymore?
Yeah, it's the total opposite of that one. It's like a pro-democracy, like pro-environment, pro-sustainability pillow company.
I want to sleep on those sheets. I want to sleep on pro-sustainability, pro-democracy sheets.
So good. I'm going to take them to David's house since I don't have a bed.
We need more sheets.
So that I can. He said that he was going to send us pillows, right? When I fell asleep on him.
I'll just take the pillow.
I'm gonna get you some pillows. All right. So it's nice and like sustainable as those sheets sound. Like they feel even better. Like, you know how people who do podcasts, they come on and try and sell you the fucking thing and they're like, blah, blah, blah. And they don't actually love the thing. No, I actually love his fucking sheets. They're incredible.
They smell so good and feel so incredible.
Oh, they feel amazing. Like you wash them a couple times. Yes. They're like, yeah, I'm going to get you some. Don't you worry. You hang in there. You're going to sleep good every single fucking night. I love
sleeping so much.
The box night.
I love being in my bed so much. I'm what they call an introverted extrovert. Like I can chat to you and I'll go hang out with people, but I haven't left my house in days because of the weather here in Portland.
You're not doing your low bar corral? You haven't?
No, I will totally always go to my low bar corral.
Okay.
But the last few days we've been having a winter, like an ice storm here, and there's been like freezing rain on top of freezing rain, and then there was snow. And really, if I don't have a reason to leave my apartment, I just don't.
Yeah.
No. And it's one of the many perks of being single, but also I'm fucking broke ass. So I'm not. It's not like I can go out and be like, I'm going to go out and have a steak dinner. Yeah. But the weather has been so terrible that it's just like, I think, today is Friday. I think the last time I left the house was Monday, and I ran out to the store to get extra food because I knew that there was more snow coming on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all my friends, I'm in a chat with my friends from Low Bar Corral, and they're like, I feel cooped up. I can't go out. I'm like, I'm so happy. I don't have to go anywhere. I can just be here with the cats. There's no one here but me. I'm going to eat all these cookies I baked. I made these oatmeal chocolate chip butterscotch cookies.
Do they have weed in them?
No, I don't.
Well, I was going to ask her how the weed fairy, if you still got some.
Oh, no, the weed fairy is still given. The weed fairy who visited me at Thanksgiving It is still giving. That's still giving. She's
And-
delightful. The Mary
Incredible.
Ganja Fairy. She's delightful.
The gift that keeps
It's
giving.
also been snowing here. It's been a miserable blizzard for like a week. It's been a total disaster. And that's why you need to make sure you go to sheetsandgiggles.com and pick you up some amazing
Oh, we're
sheets so you
still
never
on
have to
that.
leave your house. No, that's just
That's
a joke.
right. Leaving your house
Finding
is
it back
bullshit.
in
Stay in
your
your
house.
sheets and
Stay
giggle
in your
sheets
sheet-
all
yeah.
day.
I found that I kind of like staying home.
Thank you for listening to this Sheets and Giggles podcast. I'm your
Yeah.
host, Sheets and or Giggles.
Nobody loves to be in the sheets or giggle more than me. So
Fair enough.
No.
All right. Before we
There
get
it
to
is.
our news of the week, we're going to let Carol go watch Gilmore Girls.
Yeah,
She's
I
got
have priorities, guys. I have important responsibilities. So it's been real.
Yeah.
Have fun. Don't pardon any insurrections while I'm gone.
No, that's only a joke.
have fun in Stars Hollow.
We'll do our best.
It's a play on words. We're not actually pardoning it, any insurrectionists. Yeah, we're gonna have a totally brand new threesome for you today.
Nice.
Not like that.
Yeah, we
Just-
had to let Carol have some time off so we can. We're gonna try a new partner tonight.
Goodness. It's all of a sudden it's sister wives over here. Yikes. Yikes.
I don't even really watch
That
this.
was
Well,
It's not
but I
kinda-
mean,
that's not my thing.
Speaking of threesomes, did you see that Joyanne had Tiffany Justice, one of the Moms for Liberty? She had her on her show today.
Yeah, total
I
disaster.
heard. I didn't watch it. I can't.
I mean, I don't have live TV, so I saw that she was doing. I was like, why did you give her a free platform?
Well, didn't she have
mean, she also had
Angela
Charlotte-
Ryan there? She had Angela Ryan on there spitting some bullshit too. I don't
Yeah.
know what.
She also had Charlemagne the God on the other day because they're both talking bullshit about Joe Biden. I was like, what is she doing?
Why is she exactly?
She's talking a lot of bullshit about Joe Biden.
I think we're gonna have to save her for Shithole of the Week award at this point.
Oh, Joy Reid.
I mean, having one of the Moms for Liberty on when we already know what she is, she doesn't need a free platform. I mean, all of those moms they have me blocked on Twitter, of course.
Look, they have plenty of platforms.
Exactly.
Okay, we need safe spaces. We need safe spaces.
She should just be us on her show. Like liberals.
They don't give us the same grace. Period. She should be amplifying. She should be amplifying the Jasmine Crockett's, the AOC.
I was just gonna say Jasmine Crockett would be perfect. Get her on there every single week.
Exactly. And let her do what she does because she's killing it. And they have plenty of platforms. Like they don't need that.
I loved watching her read all of them to filth when they were trying to, with the whole Hunter Biden fiasco. They were like, we want Hunter Biden to come testify. He's like, okay. And they're like, no, not in front of everybody.
Not like that.
Yeah.
Not in front of not where people can see and hear you so that we can't control the narrative. Not like that. How dare you use your white privilege, says Nancy Mace, who says he has no balls. And I'm like, no, your friend Marjorie showed the world that he's got the biggest balls.
Exactly.
Marjorie puts the kink in Kinkos. Thank you very much.
That wasn't necessarily his balls that they were showing.
It doesn't
on
matter.
the
They're
house floor there.
so obsessed with Hunter Biden. That's the laptop they really want. That it's not the kind that we're talking to each other on. It's the thing in
I
between.
think somebody should have checked their hand.
Marjorie is so thirsty for him. The employees at Kinko's must cringe when she walks in. They're like, "Oh God, she's back."
And we already know she's a dirty bird like that. So
So gross. She's so gross. But it's like, can you imagine being the people at Kinko's? They walk in. She walks in and she's like, I have these dick pics that I need to enlarge to poster size.
oh yes, I'm a congresswoman, by the way.
I'm obsessed with genitals. Normally I talk about children's genitals, but right now I'm talking about Hunter Biden's genitals because my boyfriend is hung like a child. Her boyfriend must be hung like a fetus. Have you seen her boyfriend with his giant 5 head?
Oh,
Have you seen that guy's name is Brian Glenn? Yeah, no, his head.
He's such a cup. I swear to God, everything about him just says cup.
Yeah, I've absolutely seen her boyfriend, and she's making bad life decisions, and I can totally see why she's.
Disgusting. She's just, I mean, the fact that she talks about pedophiles, but she allows pedophiles around her children. She has teenagers, and I want to know which of her daughters is Matt Gaetz' favorite.
And then, you know what? But also, Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. They were running one of the largest the largest sex trafficking rings in the country.
Oh my God, I bet she was like running it. I bet she's like the madam.
Oh, she probably was, but all of that grooming shit they talk about, and I'm like, this was going to your district.
She's so gross.
While she's talking about the border.
Well, everything they do is projection.
And all the trafficking. It's like, honey, maybe if she spent time in her district, she would have known. You know?
It's the projection. They're talking about trafficking while Captain Venmo is right there.
Exactly.
All right. So, yeah, when was the last time we heard anything out of the investigation from the House Ethics Committee in the Matt Gaetz?
We're not going to. Well, everyone's saying he's the next one to be expelled, but they've been saying that for a little bit now. But I mean, they got
George out.
They certainly have plenty to use against him, and I'm certainly available to go and testify and back up the 2 complaints I filed against Matt Gaetz because he used his official congressional website to harass me. I have a screen. Yeah, I have a screenshot back. He put me on a stupid Firebrand podcast a while ago, back in 2021, but I found out he did it again this last summer. In summer 2023.
Oh, really?
Put me on his damn stupid Firebird podcast again. But he also advertised it from his congressional website. And on the screen, it says, Matt Gaetz trolls Tara Dublin. And I'm like, wow. You're saying this on your congressional website?
Yeah,
I feel like that should violate thousands of congressional rules right there. Like, that's direct harassment, very targeted harassment from your congressional website that taxpayer dollars are funding. So as they are your job, they may have elected you for a lot of sick, disgusting, twisted Florida reasons, but I don't think they want Matt Gaetz harassing women either above or below the age of consent. So, but I'm really hoping that House Ethics is going to come out with something soon. Maybe they can do a twofer and they can remove Speaker Jesus Freak and Matt Gaetz, because now that the government hasn't been shut down.
That took me a minute.
Now that the government hasn't been shut down, they're going to try to remove. He's like Davy from Davy and Goliath all grown up, and I always want to be like, Davy, Mikey, God doesn't like traitors against the United States who try to overturn legitimate elections. Mikey, that's my Goliath impression. Anyway.
It's incredible watching
Speaker
House
Jesus Freak is gonna go.
Yeah, it's incredible watching House Republicans decide that it's more important to them to not fund the government, not solve the border crisis that they claim exists, and to not do anything to improve Biden's chances of re-election because they're more focused on taking the government than to just fucking do their jobs.
How is not wanting the government to be open a good platform to run on? Shutting down the government doesn't make you look good in an election year, you fucking idiots.
Seriously,
please present proof that your government is functioning. Well, we're gonna shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we run a fake impeachment of Joe Biden, and then this shit show with Hunter Biden, and then we're gonna impeach Mayorkas, and we're gonna make all of it is a clown show for an audience of one. That doddering, senile, syphilitic, sundowning rapist.
Sundowning. I know what that is.
Sundowning's a good one, right?
He's not sundowning. That's just the syphilis going to his brain.
Dude, his hands. How many people did he touch with his little tiny sif hands?
Oh my God, those hands. That's so...
He's the fucking outbreak monkey.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many people listening to this saw this, but you got to go look it up.
God.
Pull up the picture of him leaving court, holding up his hand, waving to the crowd. You're like, oh, what are those sores there? And I don't.
Someone used the word lesions, which just makes you want to go, ew.
Oh my gosh! But
that's so weeping. They're weeping, sores, open lesions. Just if someone has lesions that you can see, visible lesions, that's not a healthy person.
That is so gross. And I want to know what the hell, because those pictures were hilarious. That one picture of Melania, her demon spawn, and Trump, the way he looked all gross and orange. Barron's looking like Damien from The Omen, and Melania,
Are you talking about when they're posing from the funeral?
Yeah, I was like,
quite
This
awful.
shit.
It definitely looked like the Omen, but then she wouldn't let Trump in the car with her.
Yeah,
like,
that was funny.
No, you stink. You drive another car, you stinking rapist.
All right, so there's this meme going around on the Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, I guess.
On X-Chan.
It's always
officially
Twitter.
X-Chan.
Well, people are being like, "Oh yeah, me plus my scent," and then they like post a selfie plus a picture of their favorite perfume / cologne or whatever, and then like you post a picture of Trump and like his scent is leprosy. Yeah, because he's a Florida man, and apparently we're having a string of cases of leprosy.
Mine would
up in
definitely
Florida
be
because
rough.
that's how. Yeah,
He's gonna be standing up at a podium with doing his little accordion thing, and his nose is just gonna fucking fall off his face.
it would be incredible.
I want him to have a Mitch McConnell like I'm stroking out in front of you all on camera moment. I want him to have one of those. Where am I?
No, Mitch
Where am I?
recovered.
I don't think that's how his mental dysfunction works. Like his is more like he gets on TV and says insane shit. Like earlier today, he was confusing Nancy Pelosi.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but there's a video of him blaming the January 6th attack on Nikki Haley.
Wait. Tell it to me slowly, please.
All right.
Aaron wants to digest this.
Okay.
Are you serious? Okay. Tell me more. I haven't heard it.
All right. So he's doing his press conference thing, and like he's up there trying to make the claim basically that when he was president on January 6th, he tried to send he offered like 10,000 National Guard troops to protect the Capitol, and Nancy Pelosi said no, except he's saying that Nikki Haley said no. And Nikki Haley is responsible for January 6th. But on the flip side, it's entirely possible it's just a Freudian slip, right?
I mean, he has her on the brain because she's like his nearest competition now, right?
I would call it a Trumpian slip or a Floridian.
Okay.
slip.
Yeah, Floridian
Here's a new
slip.
nickname for Nikki Haley, by the way. Did you see it?
I missed it. What is it?
I mean, I don't know if it's wrong if I say it out loud. So if I'm offending anybody, I apologize in advance. He called her Nimbra.
Nimrod?
Nimbra.
Nimbra.
Nimbra. Nimbra.
Nimbra.
Yeah.
What is
really-
that? Was he trying to say her name? Because I don't
Maybe he doesn't know how to spell Nimrata. He can't spell while being racist. And misogynist. I mean, no one's rooting for Nikki.
Nimrod, who was he? No, he was calling. He used to call her bird brain. And remember when she had all those bird cages? That bird cage somebody left at the CPAC after they chased her out, booing her.
How does anybody look at any of them and be like, "Yeah, I want them to leave this country"?
I mean,
did you see him when he walked in the
other?
other night and he was like, it looked like he had his overcoat on over his pajamas, and he was like patting down the sides of his wig. Because, usually when people have their hair messed up from the wind, they usually start from the top of their heads, and they brush their hair back from the
side.
And he was like pushing them on the sides, like, make sure the wig tape is holding. And he just looked like fucking death. And he was like, oh yeah, oh. And there's like 3 people going, "You're looking great, Mr. Brady. You're just looking great." And he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna win. We won big in Iowa." Yeah. No, you didn't. 107,000 people turned out or something. It was like 14% of the eligible voting
and only 50
Iowa Republicans.
Like 50.
And half of them voted for you. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah,
that's some woke math right there.
In case you missed it, I know we're a little behind. We've been gone for a minute, but yes, Donald Trump seems to have come away with a pretty outstanding victory in the Republican Iowa caucus, depending on how you look at it. He swept all 99 counties, which is very impressive if that's, the level of depth you're willing to analyze the situation.
It's about the numbers. It's about who turned out and the lack of turnout. Yeah. I mean, aside from the fact that there was a blizzard or something going on at the time of the Iowa caucuses, you have 3 people to vote for. Okay. And I have a magnet on my refrigerator that says I'm too pretty to do math. So I'm not going to quote you like exact statistics here. But what I do know is if only 14% of the eligible voting group shows up, which is roughly what I believe was 104,000 people total.
Give or take. Yeah.
Give or take. Okay. And so there are 3 people you can vote for. There's 104,000 of you, and he gets half of them to vote for him. And the other 2 break up the remaining. You don't have really a whole lot to brag about.
No. And then, remember, he was bragging.
Right. But the MAGA people are like, oh, it's a landslide victory. He's already the president. No, first of all, that's not how the Iowa caucuses work in any way. And also not how math works, to the best of my knowledge, even though, again.
Well, not that, but he was bragging about MAGA being 95%. And so then what Ron Filipkowski was like, then he should get 95% of the MAGA vote. So that actually makes him look even worse. You couldn't even pull your own people.
That's the whole point that people need to keep hammering, is that they're not turning up.
If you stop and think about it for a second, given the fact that Trump is being treated by the Republican Party like an incumbent, getting 50% of the vote in Iowa is actually a fucking disaster, right? Because if you look at Biden's polls and the Democratic Party versus his competition, where he's getting, 84, 85, 86% of support among Democrats, with a few people undecided, and Dean Phillips polling in single digits.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
No, how about when nobody came and he was sitting out?
Yeah, with the 7th graders.
You see who he's hanging out with now, though? He's hanging out with Andrew Yang.
Oh my God.
That's helping you.
They are so embarrassing. And then,
oh my God, it's so cringe.
Yeah. And then now Bill Ackman just threw like $1 million at him. And so he removed all the DEI stuff off of his website.
Yeah. Way to show you're a liberal Democrat there, sir.
I can't be bought. Here's $1 million. You have just bought.
He's already rich. That's
Why don't you give me $1 million, Bill Ackman? I'll show you what I can do with $1 million. Why don't you give me the money that Linda Yaccarino is getting to ignore anti-Semitism on Twitter, and I'll show you what I can do with that.
Well, run for president, Tara.
Lack of self-awareness, and inability to read the room is just fucking. It's just.
Yeah, but no. By comparison, if you look at Biden's performance in the Democratic Party, he's actually fucking crushing it. If you look at Trump's performance, at least as far as actual votes were concerned from the Iowa caucus, he's never been weaker, right? Maybe not since early 2016 when Ted Cruz had him beat in Iowa. Has Trump been in a position where he's not unbeatable?
But you heard he's already claiming that New Hampshire's rigged. He said that Nikki's a Democrat and that Democrats are voting for her, and that the Cokes and the Coke money, he goes,
and
they're
Soros
doing
and the
stuff. He's claiming that they're rigging the vote in New Hampshire. He started
because he thinks he's going to lose. That's why he's saying he's afraid he's going to lose. That's why he was talking about the 2020 election being rigged all the way in the summer of 2020.
Exactly.
Laying that groundwork for that lie to take hold, so that by the time he lost, then everyone will be like, well, it was rigged against him. So that's what he does, because they know they can't win legitimately. They're going to poison the water now, so that by the time the actual election rolls around, no one will believe it. That's what they're always going to be doing this until that fucker finally kicks off or gets thrown in jail finally.
Ron DeSantis said that he lost in the Iowa caucus because of election interference. It was like, what, somebody tampered with those paper bags and the paper clips? The most secure election ever.
In the popcorn, you mean the ones in the popcorn buckets from your own? Those are your own people.
I think it was, I think it was a bring your own bag event.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was bringing.
It's like endless popcorn bucket. Like once you fill up one, you can dump that out, and then you can get another one for free, right?
I am totally fine watching the Republican Party become victims of their own shenanigans, like with Trump.
Dumb.
Trump claiming the primary is rigged. Great. Now you see how it feels, right? to
You
take
would
it back
think
to
that
Nikki.
the GOP would at some point want to be like, can we just try to look normal for like a moment? Can we not have to look like a bunch of blithering clown car crashing idiots? I'll keep saying this. Chris Christie dropped out way too soon. He was the only one who was like semi not ridiculous in that he spoke truthfully about Trump and did not back down from the truth about Trump. And also, out of all of the, I mean, I call him Governor Otis Bridgegate. He's none of them are going to beat Biden, but he also, of all of the candidates, has the closest to almost a rational stance on abortion in that he doesn't back a 6-week national abortion ban. He doesn't back the 6 weeks.
Yeah,
And
he's
so,
probably like
and Nikki Haley
16
does.
weeks. Yeah,
And so, and Ron and Nikki have terrible. I mean, none of them have great stances on abortion. His is the least worst. You know, if you're gonna rank them.
I don't want to give
so-
Chris Christie any credit here because he's a fucking
literally
clown show
zero,
either.
none.
But yes, he's
No.
like by far of all the terrible options in the Republican Party, he's just like not completely a total disaster.
He's the least worst of them. And Asa Hutchinson dropping out, you're like, he was still in.
I didn't know he was still alive.
And Vivek whining now that nobody.
Was it Kwandi who called it Vivexit?
Yes. Oh my God, I love her so much. She is the fucking trending hashtag queen.
No, man, that's my girl.
Vivek and the dropout Dean, which is just done magnificently. That it fucking trends all the time. Dropout Dean.
Yeah.
Do you know he slid into my DMs?
I think you were telling me about this, and yes,
Dean Phillips was sliding into DMs, a lot of people's DMs for a little bit. Like,
yeah, well, let's give him
chat.
let's give the listeners a little background on what was going on with Dean Phillips, right? So he's launching a presidential campaign, but he's trying to do it largely.
President of New Hampshire.
Yeah, he's trying to do it with like low budget over social media, and I think what he was assuming would be possible would be to like convince a number of quote unquote social media influencers to, you know, support his campaign in the Democratic primary. And what ended up happening instead was he engaged in a bunch of Twitter arguments with all my friends.
Yeah.
And
that's what happened.
That's basically what happened.
Sliding into our DMs, right? This fool is like, "Hi, Tara. Here's my phone number. Can we talk?" I was like, "No, because there's nothing you're gonna say to make me change my mind about Joe Biden."
Nope.
He's like, "Yeah, but this, la la la," and I was like, "Yeah, but no, because I'm voting for Joe Biden." And then he'd be like, "This and this and this." I'd be like, "Nope." And here's what men like Dean Phillips don't understand is when a woman says no to you, that is not the beginning of a negotiation. That is the end of the discussion. I said no. I meant no. My no gets louder, but it does not change from being no.
So you said no, and Dean heard, "So I've got a chance." Like that was
I've got a chance.
Moment.
You responded. So that means the door is open. So I should call you.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, he's so thirsty. And I was like, I made a TikTok where I was like, this boy in my DM saying I'm pretty. Cause like he was doing that to so many people. He was hitting so many of us up. Like, what do you think you're doing? We're just gonna blow you up for this. And by the way,
destroyed.
I do not. Well, yeah, but I am not a person who thinks that sharing DMs publicly is okay. This person is running for president of the United States. So I felt in that moment I could, and it didn't really go on for very long, but I was just like, nope. And I just let people, I don't think I shared the screenshot, but I don't remember what I shared. It doesn't matter. He's a public figure and he's doing this to a lot of people. I think he did it to Malcolm Nance. So it wasn't just the ladies, but he was hitting up big liberal accounts where it was like, what planet are you living on that you think that you can even challenge Joe Biden, Mr. 0%, Mr. 2%?
I can tell you exactly what's happening here with Dean. And look, it also is applicable to the Republican Party, right? So we've been dealing with this issue where mainstream media, their ratings are declining, and it's partially due to their own fault, but largely because people are they're cutting the cord from cable, and cable TV ratings are down. So they kind of got to spice things up by making this 2024 election seem competitive. And the only way to do that really is to downplay Joe Biden and his accomplishments, and then make Trump seem normal and seem as though he has a competitive, seemingly realistic chance of winning the 2024 election, even though he's totally unqualified, shouldn't be running, and shouldn't even be given the time of day. So they spent all of this time, effort, energy, and money trying to pump up Trump and make Biden seem like he's not a competitive candidate. And this is giving dumbasses like Dean Phillips the idea that Joe Biden is weak. He's not popular with Democrats. Maybe there's an angle for him to slide in here and like steal the nomination. And then what happens is real life occurs. Voters get to actually show up to polls. Real supporters turn out and support Joe Biden and donate record amounts of money. And then like the illusion is shattered, right? So Dean Phillips
100%.
Dean Phillips is coming to terms with the fact that the media narrative doesn't match up with the reality.
And that's the whole thing. Today, the S&P 500 hit an all-time high.
All-time record high.
All-time record high under who? Joe Biden. Because why? Because Bidenomics works.
Yes.
Because why? Because he's a Democrat who actually gives a shit, and he's doing his job, and he's doing a great fucking job. And every day their administration does something amazing. And every day there's a reason to brag about this administration. Our vice president out there, our vice president is just like laying it down every time she goes out and makes a public appearance. She was on The View, and they were trying, Elizabeth Farrah Griffin's trying it with her, and she's like, listen. And she just gave her that Kamala Harris look where she was like, listen, and just laid it down like, yeah, well, we have a problem at the border, but this. And she was like, by the way, and the government has no place making decisions about a woman's body. And she was making the platform so clear. And at the same, and talking about racism in this country directly and the way it needs to be addressed, instead of being Nikki Haley saying, we're not a racist country. By the way, I've been the victim of racism, like literally in the same conversation.
I mean, literally, Trump is saying that she shouldn't be allowed to run because her parents aren't citizens.
Are we going back to the Obama birther shit? Because he has no new material.
No, that's actually what he's doing.
2016 all over again.
It seems like Nikki has a short-term memory in that her parents wouldn't have even been allowed to come to this country had it not been for the Civil Rights Act, because the Immigration and Naturalization Act was passed shortly after. Okay. And then Trump wants to rescind the citizenship of first-generation immigrants, like a birthright citizenship.
Give me 1 second to talk about Nikki's parents for a second. So one of the things that's noteworthy about Nikki's experience as a youth is that her father was a professor at a HBCU, and that's not even the most noteworthy part, not the fact that he taught at a historically black college, but what's really funny is that because he taught there with the black kids, that it was held against her and her family in their community. Very, very strange dynamic there. And I think there was some instance in which like the house they bought, like they weren't even allowed to rent because they were brown people. They had to buy the house. But once they were done living there, they had to sell it back to a white person. And like, this is like, an experience that Nikki Haley is intimately familiar with, and that she's willing to sell out her own personal experiences in order to try whatever. Yeah, it's very disgusting. And like the most incredible part of this is, as Nikki Haley is like saying, America's never been a racist country. MAGA's out here like, all right, Vivek, you can be secretary of 7-Eleven. You're like, approved.
Oh my God.
Cynthia.
Wow. Ooh, that's rude. Ouch. Ouch. Wow.
And then Vivek is like, ha ha, good one, guys. That's so
He's
fucking
like,
hilarious. Yeah.
And they're all like, no, we actually mean it because now we don't have to pretend we like you anymore.
Yeah.